agree more that the war is a product of negativity in the collective psyche. And I'd be more specific, it's a product of fear. I think there's an innate vulnerability in our position, and if we don't connect with another level, home if you like, or where we came from, if we just feel ourselves to be isolated here, then we're going to generate fear, because we're under threat all the time. And so this builds up this accumulation of negative energy. But for what mystical experiences are worth, and I think they are a bit dubious, but I do have a few, and I thought I'd share this one because it's hot off the press. I asked the other day, is mankind heading for total disaster and catastrophe? And then I thought, well, what's the opposite of that? And I couldn't think, but the word that came in to my vision then was glory. So disaster or glory. And there was the most amazing affirmation of the word glory. So that, you know, cheer up folks. We're all heading for glory. But there is the little matter of the blender. And the sad thing about that little tale is that although the sponge is the most primitive of life forms, as the way things stand at the moment, it is more intelligent than humanity. It knows how to come together and reform itself into a mutually supportive whole. And I can't say that we're doing that at the moment. But I think we're beginning slowly to see the need to do it. And glory, it's there somewhere.
Thank you.
Well, it's interesting that you say that you feel, you said the Earth is dying at the moment.
I propose that.
Yeah, propose the Earth is dying, because if you listen to some indigenous people of the planet right now, they say, well, isn't that what happens? Yeah. Because they speak of the time of the sixth sun that is coming, and you know, that the Earth goes through these cycles. And you know, I don't know if you, and you say, why are we out there? Because in order to understand the down here, as it were, you have to understand the out there. And for example, the seismologists don't understand why there's so many major earthquakes that are happening, and they're happening near the poles of the planet. Now, if you understand about what I said about the black hole principle and how that's going at every level, you start to understand why the eruptions are happening and why the consciousness, which is absolutely, we are the world. So our consciousness and everything is linked to that. The polarities are splitting. Every bad news, piece of bad news you hear on the TV, there's good news. You're paying attention to one aspect, but there's another person who's woken up, because that's the law of physics. The polarities are there, and they're equal and opposite. And what we're seeing at the moment is the splitting happening before we move into the light. And as Ted said, you know, the more that we're attached to this linear time, this 3D reality, the harder it's going to be, because that's washing away. But what we're seeing are transformation throes, which can look absolutely like death throes. And we're seeing the polarities splitting as things get ready to ascend and move into the next sun, which the indigenous people say happens time and time again. So it's labour pains, and when you see a woman in labour, you see her screaming her head off sometimes, and it can look like a little death, but life comes from that. So, you know, that this is what our Mother Earth is going through. I'd also like to say, you know, in terms of an apocryphal text, the Book of Enoch, I don't know if you've, because we talked about war. Has anybody heard of the Book of Enoch? So in the Book of Enoch, it speaks of the fallen angels, and Enoch, the patriarch, gets taken up in very much of what we would call perhaps an alien abduction scenario, gets taken up by these angels, sees all the different heavens, sees all the, what we would call the different dimensions, meets the head angel and everything, there's a place which disturbs him, and he says, what are those angels doing there? And they seem to be going through a very rough time, being tortured, and you know, and these are the fallen angels that in ancient times came to the planet and probably had sex with human women, or you know, and they ate. So they did two things that were physical. They ate and they had sex, and they ended up being stuck in these dimensions. And it says that because they did, and if you understand dimensional realities, you understand something that you do in this dimension will hold you to it. And in the Book of Enoch it says these angels will stay and cause havoc in these lower dimensions that are close to the planet till the end of time. And if you, I'm not the only person who's suddenly put two and two together. I heard Ian O'Quain speak about this as well. And they exert their influence from high dimensions onto the leaders of the planet to excite wars. Why? Because they feed off the energy. So what we might be coming to, what the Mayan prophecy is saying is we're nearing the end of time. We might be coming to the end of what the Book of Enoch says is the time that the angels, you know, Angelus in you know, it does mean messenger, but before that in Sumerian times, angels were all sorts of things, sometimes very fearsome creatures, you know, the cherubim and things like that were very fearsome creatures. So what we might be getting to, if the Book of Enoch is right, and if you put that together to the Mayan prophecy, is the end of the time that these interdimensional beings are exerting their influence on humanity, inciting wars. If anybody's seen the film Monsters Inc., the cartoon where the monsters are going into the bedrooms at night, picking out the screams of the children and fueling their world. At the moment we've got a situation like that. And what we're headed to, I really believe, is the time when that is no more. So I think the predictions of the Book of Enoch, where the fallen angels are causing havoc for humanity, is coming to an end soon. And all of those veils are going to be thinner, and we're actually going to see the truth of what's really been going on this planet all this time. So.
Wow, that's a lot. James, we have to get out of this room by 9:30.
Right.
And it'll take some time, so we have to move the chairs as well. Okay. Is it a very quick one?
Yeah, very quick point.
Very quick point.
I love your comment about the internet. My company 18 years ago actually helped to design the internet, and I believe that today we're using it in a way which is just unbelievable. Okay. And it will be a catalyst for change. Yeah. It will actually create new financial systems, new ways of working and interacting with people. And as the old dies, this is the sort of technology which will take over. But on a broader sense, I would say that we are actually growing our consciousness in terms of individually and in terms, in terms of humanity. And the way we do that, is my belief, is that we are given lifetime after lifetime, we're given the opportunity to make what's unconscious in us conscious. And it is an emotional energy. And it is true in the multi-dimensions, there are beings that can feed off that energy, but there's also beautiful beings as well that encourage us to grow. There's always that duality going on. And in your consciousness you can move to one because you need to experience that, and it's not bad or good. The war situation is not bad or good because you just incarnate after you've had that experience into a new one, and you learn the opposite of the polarity. And what we're doing, we're not stupid. Humanity is not stupid. We understand that to go from a golden age, we need to go to a really, really dark age. And then we come up out of that dark age into a golden age that we've never experienced before. And we're moving now towards that golden age, finally, after this very dark age. And I feel that humanity is really growing its consciousness in a way we've never done before. And it's a very beautiful thing.
I think, you know, because I was born into a Theosophical family, and so I've had Theosophy and these teachings all my life. And I've sort of therefore grown up in two worlds, really. I mean, because Theosophy teaches a very deep philosophy about the cause and loss and creation and all these stuff, really even beyond theoretical physics and beyond that. And some of those concepts, they are only theory because you can't verify them. Yet they're very revealing nevertheless. But then there's other aspects of the teachings about life, which about creation, which you can verify in your everyday life. And you see borne out in your life and in the life around you. And I think I've been very fortunate now because I have seen this all my life. And I can honestly say that for at least the last 30 years I've lived in two worlds. Because I've been, I'm fully a member of the everyday society, like everybody else. But at the same time, there's this background consciousness, awareness within me of a greater reality and an interconnectedness of all life across all the planes. And that may sound fancy and theoretical, but actually it's become a living consciousness, part of me.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I say this from personal experience because when I move my consciousness into the dimensions, I can see the soul, I can see the human soul. It's like a
feeling it with you anyway,
and it's very beautiful, it has all the dimensional geometries around it, but some souls are kind of like smaller than others, and I think you can see an old soul and a new soul, but the totality is all linked to one soul, the sort of human soul, which is like, you know, when Jay describes it like God blobs that kind of come off like Mercury and come down and down and down, then they reconnect again. And I feel that humanity, you know, from my own experiences, I'm talking about this, I'm not in any society, I'm not in any religion, but I go through my own experience and I see it. I can see the soul as it's growing. And it's nothing to worry about. You know, this 2012 thing is perfect.
And of course, you see, each time we die and then in a sojourn, in a spiritual reality, and then are born again, each reincarnation, we spend more time out of the physical reality than we do in it. And then gradually, bit by bit, when we come back into this life, we bring in more of that awareness with us and that capacity with us. So we end up living in two worlds. And I think we have to live in two worlds because it's the inner world that has to inform the outer world. And if we don't have contact with it, we cannot do that. And we end up just stuck in things. And we've got to see that things aren't things.
We've forgotten.
They're expressions of something else. Yeah.
This is so frustrating because I want it to carry on, and I'm sure we all do, but we're also going to be very much in this world when they come and throw us out and get very cross.
That is make it work for Ted and Brian because we're talking about community, we're talking about groups. Ted's got a group thing coming up and Brian's always got groups coming up, so I encourage you at some point to get in touch with these two people.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do very shortly is give a round of applause. Now, what I want to do first is to have one last sentence from each of you, one short last sentence, as to a piece of advice that you think that we should be taking away with us for 2012.
Okay, not that we should live in this world less, but we should live in both worlds more.
Wow.
Remember that you are a divine being.
Cool.
We got you first.
Have fun.
Gosh, we are the ones who've come from the future for this time, and we are the future.
Wow. Okay, huge round of applause. Huge thank you to Ted Capstick, Eric McGough, Brian Gill, Dr. Manager, Samantha Longton, I didn't know you was manager. Another round of applause.